Hey Gaijingaigers, this is Patrick here at the top of Mount Ida-san. And this week I'm going to be talking about my fantastic manga haul, which I got for such a steal I can't even tell you how much I paid. Not a lot. Hey Gaijin Gaggers, Patrick here. So first I'm going to go through what I got at the Guru Guru Soko, which is a local used bookstore, mostly comic store, but also they have fishing stuff and all kinds of stuff. I'm going to go through those, and then I'm going to go through stuff I got at some other shops. Alright, so first when I went to the Guru Guru Soko, I won a whole set. I say I won. I paid 1,000 yen, did the gacha thing, won a B prize, and chose a full set of 20 Magi, pronounced Maggie, by Otaka Shinobu. This was recommended to me by one of my students, and so I thought I would check that out. Then we have the good stuff. Okay, I went back to the back shelves where the good stuff is. Give me that good stuff. Any B-52s fans? No? Okay. So the Aizoban of Kaibutsu-kun. Kaibutsu-kun, you got all the classic monsters here. You've got Drac, Wolf, and Frankie. And even though, you know, we know to call him the creature, I think it's okay to call him like T creature Frankenstein, because Dr. Frankenstein, or Mr. Frankenstein, depending on the book, created him, and so, you know, that's his father, so he gets his father's last name. No? Okay, all right. So let's see. Anyway, I love things like this. These are omnibus editions, omnibuses, omnibuy, I don't know. Anyway, I love like a big book, big size, and we get a lot of stories in there. So those are always great. I have Hakaba no Kitaro number 3. I've got 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Somehow missing this one. So glad to get that to fill out the collection. Can you see that there? Yeah. I got to show you guys. Maybe bring it a little closer. I got Dark Green 2 and 3. Also, to fill out a collection. I have not started reading this yet, but I have heard good things from another student of mine. So, that's how I find out about new comics, is I get these recommendations. So this dark green art, I think I'm drawn to it. It reminds me of Shibata Masahiro, who did like the Red Fang series, you know, Blue Comet, is it? Blue Comet? Oh my god, I forgot. I have it right over here. Blue Sonnet, oh my gosh. And he's supposed to be my favorite, and here I am forgetting. Okay, and then in the Bunko format, this was a great find because I knew about this book. This is Sen no Me no Sensei. Sen no Me Sensei, the teacher with 1,000 eyes, or 1,000-eyed teacher. She's psychic, that's why she has 1,000 eyes. And I knew about this book because it has a character in there named Sabu, and apparently this character is a recurring character in Ishimori or Ishinomori books, like Mutant Sabu. The mutant Sab is supposedly the same character in this. So anyway, that's how I learned about it. But I was excited to get this because when I went home and opened it up, it had some mermaids in there. I didn't mean to show you the very last panel, but that's what it is. And I have a whole mermaid manga collection for my research, and this is going to go right on that shelf. So very exciting stuff. In a larger format, we have some more Ishinomori/Ishimori, whichever way. He didn't really make up his mind. It was Ishimori for years until he decided to go, no, there's a no in there. Okay, so this is Shin Genma Taisen. So like new Harmageddon. I've never seen the animation of this, and I know it's a crime. I should see it. And I haven't read the original. I'd like to get the original. But I'm keeping this one, the new ones, in anticipation of getting the original. All right, what else? What do we got up next? Oh, okay. We have NAGAI goes Abashiri Ikka. Abashiri. You know what? I don't know what Abashiri means. But this comic has some very, very suggestive images, some suggestive imagery, but it's also got a very cool women warrior fighting demons and devils, and that is another thing that I research. That shelf up there is all my Oni comics. So looking forward to that. Okay, the next shop I went to is in Omuta. I mentioned that place a lot because Koga Shinichi and Hagiomoto are both from Omuta. And I was able to pick up this Furoku. I don't really collect Furoku, but I have a few now because they're great for my manga history class and explaining, and showing the different kind of formats that manga have taken. This is Sasuke by Shirato Sanpei. This is basically the blueprint for a lot of ninja manga to come after it. Of course, there was ninja manga before and after, but this was very popular and a good series. And this particular Furoku has 3 chapters from volume 9 of the Bunko Sasuke that I have, and it was exactly the same, which kind of cool. There was no, a lot of these creators from this era, when they reprinted their works, they kind of touched them up, and the only thing that was changed was the fonts, the text was moved around a little bit, and that's it. And I think I mentioned this before, probably on Instagram. So, but anyway, this is a neat little find. When I talked to the owner of that bookstore, he said it used to be a kashihonya. And that the Mr. Harada, who I borrow tons of kashihon from to show you guys, and for my manga history class, he actually started his collection when that bookstore went from kashihonya to used bookstore. They sold a bunch of the kashihon manga to Mr. Harada, according to that proprietor of that store. Which, wow, you never know the people who you're gonna link up with. The proprietor also mentioned that he used to take violin lessons from Hagiomoto's father, who was a well-known violinist. So, and he showed me a picture, and it's like, and here's little Hagio, and or Moto, he called her Moto-chan, and her sister, and him, and the father, and there's a violin in the background. So, I was impressed, to say the least. Okay, what do we got next? Up next, we have Search and Destroy 1, 2, and 3. I tried to look for some, because I'm not made of money. I tried to look for some Kaneko books at the used bookstore. No luck. But at the Village Vanguard, they have pretty good selection of his works. So I got Search and Destroy 1, 2, and 3. It supposedly ties into Dororo, the Tezuka series, which I am a big fan of. You know me, I like monsters and manga, and Dororo is one of those that, you know, ties those two things together. So I love this guy's art. He's become a new favorite of mine. His black and white style evokes like Charles Burns and Daniel Close and Adrian Tomine, you know, very clear, clean, but much more dramatic lines than Tomine and Close, closer to Burns in that it's a little bit more stylistic. So it's more realistic than Burns, but more stylistic than the other two I mentioned. And he's not afraid to go to some pretty bizarre places. And he makes some really great, unique, modern characters. Can't recommend him enough. I gotta thank Koenji Sean Reviews, Sean, for the recommendation. Thanks, Sean. Let's see. What do we got next? Oh, okay. You guys. My friend, Mr. Fujita, he gave me this. And this is it's hard to read, actually. But this is from Tokosha's Home Run Comics imprint. It's Kage ni sumu mono, one who lives in the shadows, or those who live in the shadows, but it's got one main character. From 1966. This is by SUWA Sakae. SUWA Sakae. Now, I conveniently forgot who this was. This is KOJIMA Gouseki, and this is the pen name he used when he drew at Garo, because he had a contract with another company, so he couldn't use his real name. So what is interesting about this Home Run Comics imprint is in the back they have a statement saying, we don't care if, you know, who our creators are. We don't care if they're experienced or if they're new, as long as they make good comics, and that's what we want to publish. And I was like, what a great mission statement. So very excited. I really appreciate getting that. When he gave it to me, I did not realize it was KOJIMA Gouseki. Also, wonderful gift are these two hardback Mighty Atom number 5 and 6. Now, these are from Kobunsha's Tezuka Complete Manga Collection. And the covers are missing, but I'm thinking about printing some out just to, you know, so they look nice on the shelf. But thank you, Mr. Fujita. A real peach. So now on the next set of books, we're not even close to being done. Ooh, the nose, man. The allergies. Okay. This is from my favorite used bookstore in Kumamoto. It's called Azusa Shoten. It's in Yatsushiro, down south. I'm south of the city, but this is even farther south. The proprietor there is real peach of a guy. Him and his wife run the shop. He doesn't have it open as often as he'd like. He's a little bit under the weather. He's been in the hospital several times. I think, honestly, he's on his way to shutting it down because he gave me discounts, which I can't even share what I paid for these amazing books. So, but I'm just gonna go from big to smaller to smaller to smaller and hope my allergies don't drive me crazy. This is a MOOC, a magazine book. It's all about Hagiomoto. I thought I'd pick that up. Glad to pick that up. Let's see, what else? I got this Cutie Honey collection. I used to own this. And at one point in my life, I got really pissed off at NAGAI Goll, and so I got rid of all my NAGAI Goll. But now, because of my Oni research, I kind of got back into him. I'm looking at him in a new light and willing to forgive. past transgressions. So Cutie Honey was one of my favorites. Devilman Lady, I liked that too. So, but mostly his pre-Devilman Oni work. That's the stuff that is so great for my research. Okay, let's see. I got this. This is Kojima Miyako. She does horror work, and she has a very interesting style. It's very much an Umezu Kazuo influenced style, but she also has her own take and her own sense of humor, definitely. She's got her own, I mean, Umezu has a pretty warped sense of humor, but she rivals his sense. She does some really good stuff, so I'm glad to get that. I've only had a few of her works, and mostly from a catalog that I got. Let's see what we got next. Oh, okay, we have these 4. Now remember the guy that I mentioned? Kojima Gouseki. So this is his work. It's based on somebody called Sumaru, which that cannot be his real name. You know, you would not do that to a kid. If your last name is Subaru, you name him Sumaru, you're not going to do that. And anyway, Sumaru is not a real name. I'm going to say. I could be wrong. Could be a Buddhist name or something. Anyway, I love having this size Kojima artwork. It's a little bit rough compared to some of my more favorite works of his, you know, but still very good stuff, very dynamic. Happy to have it. Let's see what we else. The hardbacks. This is Zero Man from Tezuka, and there was this set of 1, 2, 3 on the shelf, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna get them. And Zero Man, starring little Ricky, is, oh, I love this Tezuka comic. It's not my all-time favorite, but it's near the top. I love the beginning. You have, it's during World War II. You have two pilots, a US pilot and a Japanese pilot, and they're facing off and they're dueling to the death when suddenly they hear a baby crying. And so they say, wait, stop. There's a baby crying. We got to go save that baby. And they don't even discuss it. They just go. And they go to the baby, and there's a tiger about to maul the baby. And they say, all right, let's take care of this tiger. They take care of the tiger so heroically. And then they realize, well, we have to finish our duel. So whoever wins has to take care of the baby. And fighter wins and raises Ricky, a very special boy, as his own son. But Ricky has something that other kids don't have, a big, bushy chipmunk tail. So this is actually a story of a group of beings, bipeds, that have evolved from squirrels and they hate humans. They're planning to take over the world. So Ricky, kind of like Devilman, he goes against his own kind to defend humanity. So that's that story. And I love the balance, the design of Ricky, he's like 3 heads tall, you know, and it's a really cute proportion. Your chibi characters, I mean, this is where they came from, really, this proportion. So anyway, and also like getting hardbacks. I mean, I already have Zero Man in the Kodansha Tezuka collection, but I like the hardbacks, honestly. Okay, down to B6 size. I got some Berserk. I only have up to like 30, so I wanted to start filling in other volumes as I come across them, you know, if I can get them for cheap. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get them for cheap. And so I started picking up those. I decided I'm going to do a reread of this can't believe this series started in 1990, you know, because I didn't find out about it until a few years after I came to Japan in 94. And it still took me a little while to actually read it. And when I started reading it, oh my God, I was hooked. Hooked. So I went berserk. Thank you, thank you. All right, here we have Shin Taketori Monogatari Sennenjo, Queen Millennia, Queen of 1,000 Years. This is the anime film comic. I recently got the print comic, and so now I have, which is on one of my haul videos, and now I have the first of the animated comics. I also think I have a larger size one somewhere. I tried looking for it. It's hiding among my shelves. You know, I straightened up my room. My wife gave me some ideas on how to rearrange the rooms to get better use out of it. And she's a genius, of course. And so I rearranged my shelves so that things look nicer, but I can't find anything. And that's how it goes. So anyway, Queen Millennia, I started watching the anime and read the comic at the same time. So I'm kind of following as it goes. A little bit of divergences, but it's actually quite interesting. I do recommend it. I recommend it. Okay. Coming up next, we have Umezu Kazuo's 14 Juuyon-sai, with this extremely bizarre character on the cover, Chicken George. And what a great name, Chicken George. I feel like that character already exists somewhere in some alternate universe. But, you know, with Umezu, you know, you never know where he's going to go. He tackles some pretty interesting issues and, you know, that make you think. But he also tries to gross you out. So, and I actually, you know, I told you how I put away NAGAI Go for a while. I actually put away Umezu for 20 years because I was reading one of his stories from the Kyofu collection, and I felt violently ill. I really wanted to puke my guts out. And so I said no more until I started researching the history of Japanese horror comics, and then I opened up Pandora's box, and now I have a little bit of a Umezu fetish, and I have my collection is growing bit by bit. Definitely cannot understate his importance to the horror genre. Okay, I have no idea what's going on with Chicken George though. Is this like a human that's being turned into a chicken, a la, not a la Tusk, but like Tusk does, the Kevin Smith movie that I haven't seen yet, where a man gets turned into a walrus? Yes, that happens. Maybe a better example is the movie with 7 S's. Starring Dirk Benedict, you know, Starbuck from the original Battlestar Galactica. He turns into a snake. Yep, bit by bit. He's a snake boy. And I saw that on TV. I don't think it was cable. I think I saw it on regular TV, and traumatized because that image burned into my skull for decades. All right, let's move on. Okay, what's this? Tsunoda Jiro. So I have a couple of books that I've shared in manga hauls. He was one of the, he didn't live in Tokiwaso, but he was a regular visitor there. And so he's considered part of the Tokiwaso group because he helped out with other artists' works, and so he's considered part of the Tokiwa group. He, you know, he did some sports comics and stuff at first, but once he got into the occult stuff, like Kyofu Shimbun, the scary newspaper, or Ushiro no Hyakutaro, about a ghost haunting a kid and giving him the ability to like fight against occult monsters and such, that's where he really found his stride. And so this is Mayonaka no Rabureta, so love letter in the middle of the night. It says it's a rei Gekiga, a ghost Gekiga, and it's kind of a weird thing. I took a look inside. It's got some photos. It says taken by the author, as if like he went around investigating psychic phenomena and then did a comic about it. So interesting. And I think that the reason that his comics were popular is because they made the leap and they just assumed that occult phenomena is 100% real, and totally bought into that. And so readers, I think, connected with that, and that's what made him so popular. It also has a lot of little mini articles concerning psychic phenomena, ghost phenomena, like what is a poltergeist, and how to increase your psychic sensitivity. I'm gonna have to read those because I don't see many ghosts, and you know, I've been around people who say they see ghosts, and I want to see them too if they're there. So anyway, read those. What else we got? All right, we have, oh, this is an interesting one. This is Katori Taeko's shoujo horror comic. It's a kashihon, but this is like 1971. Kashihon is basically almost disappeared. You know, like they weren't making that many kashihon comics around this time, but here's one. And let me just say, the interior art doesn't even come close to the quality of the cover. But anyway, just, I hope the story is good, because the interior art is not nearly as good as many of the doujin that I pick up at doujin events. So this is by Iwaki Shobo. Oh, it's The Fog is Laughing, which is a great title, and I just love this cover with the fog laughing. Okay, now we're getting to the peach stuff, okay? All right, we got, this is a Hibari Shobo book, and look who it is. It's our friend. This is Matsumori Tadashi. Do you remember in the last video I showed some art that he had sent in to some kashihon, and he eventually ended up being an assistant for Sato Masaaki. Let's hope that too much of the crazy didn't rub off on him. But I flipped through this, and the art is amazeballs. I mean, this guy had it going on. Really high skills. I mean, this cover promises and the interior delivers. So, and this is, by the way, this is Garo no Mori. So, Forest of the Hungry Wolf. Yeah, Forest of the Hungry Wolf. I don't know the story. It's hard-boiled. All right, now here's the real prize of this size. This is Target 1 to 5. This is premium item. I cannot tell you how much I got it for, but really happy to get this. I had already had my eye on this before I realized who this is. This is Sonada Mitsuyoshi, who I introduced when I did the Western Kashihon as Arikawa Eiichi, and he had changed his name to Sonada Mitsuyoshi. So really glad. to get these. So I so appreciate the proprietor of Azusa Books for allowing me to pick these treasures off his shelves. All right, here we go. Here's the last set of books. Let's get these out the way. Okay, we're getting to the tiny. All right, let's see. Down at the B6 Han, the B6 Han, or the comics size, I got these two Yamato comics. Both are adaptations of animated versions. This is from the third series of Yamato. This is the series that did not make it to the US. Star Blazers in the 70s was released, and it had series 1, series 2, and I knew about series 3, and I expected it to come, and when they did the rerun and they went straight through series 1 and series 2, and I told everybody I know they're going to do series 3 this time, I just know it, and they didn't. So that was embarrassing. Thanks a lot. And then this here is a adaptation of Aratanaru Tabidachi, new journey of the Uchu Senkan Space Cruiser Yamato, or Space Battleship Yamato #1. This is by Hio Akira. And Hio Akira, his line is very fine. You know, it's very fine. It's got a very shoujo comics, delicate feel to it. So the first time I ever held one of these size comics in my hand, it was a Yamato Hio Akira book. There was a girl in 12th grade in my high school. I was in 8th grade. Her locker was on my side of the hall. I somehow convinced her to let me share her locker. And I saw it in the locker, and I asked her, can I borrow that? And she actually taught me my first words of Japanese. She was very sweet. Her name was Yukari, a peach. And so this style is not a far cry from the show, you know. It's still, like I said, a little bit more on the shoujo side. But when I first saw Matsumoto Reiji's original artwork, I was like, ooh, that's a lot, like, different than what I expected. Heavier lines, a lot rougher lines on characters, you know. Dynamic lines, but, you know, not these perfectly fine, beautiful curves, you know. The mecha, great in both versions, but eventually, though, I grew to appreciate Matsumoto's style much as I grew to appreciate Jack Kirby's style. You know, at first it was a little bit like, that's not what I'm used to. But once I, like, really dove in and really started to recognize what the beauty of his line, then, yeah, never looked back. Never looked back. No regrets! All right, what else we got? Okay. By the way, this one, it wasn't a movie. It was like a TV movie, a telemovie, if you will. And this was a sequel to the second series. So this actually came out before series 3. So, anywho, I got Fire #2 by Mizuno Hideko. I got this because I have Fire #1 and a #5, and so slowly filling out that collection. Always happy when I can do that. I got this is Mikuria Satomi's. This is Nora #2, and I have one other work by him. I love his art. Whenever I see his work, I'm gonna snap it up because it's science fiction, it's well done, very cool stuff. What was it? No, not Sandlander. It's like Salamander. It was Sandlander. Let's see what else I got. Oh yeah, Spider-Man #8. This cover I recently saw on Facebook, somebody was saying that there's a swipe of this that an American comics artist used, but I don't think it was quite clear. Either way, check out the groinal protuberance. So this is the stories by HIRAI Masakazu, who Kazumasa. You may know from Wolf Guy. Wolf Guy was also turned into a movie starring Sonny Chiba, who also passed away recently. So sad. But anyway, I have only number 5 of this, and now I have number 8 of the Sun Comics version. Happy to get it. You know it's a werewolf story, right? This guy, Hirai Masakazu, had a werewolf on the brain. His Spider-Man always has to fight turning into Spider-Man or something like that. I actually haven't read the story all the way through, but I read the first part of this, and at the very beginning, it's Spider-Man destroying everything and killing everybody. And I'm like, what? I don't remember that happening in Marvel Comics. But it was a dream. It was something that, he knew could happen. Interesting that I mention Spider-Man because I'm actually sometimes help out on a Spider-Man podcast. Deconstructing Comics does a special series of podcasts for their Patreon crowd where they're going through all the original Steve Ditko, Stan Lee Spider-Man comics. I've done like 4 or 5 of them, and it's always a treat to go through those stories. That old stuff, not everything holds up, but there's still a lot. There's a lot of treasure to be found in those old stories. What else? What do we got next? Let's see. That was Spider Dude. Whoops, lost my place. Here we are. Another Tsunodejiro. And this is written by Kajiwara Ikki, who was the king of Spokon, the sports konjo comics movement. Not really a movement, but he popularized it. So this is what I mentioned. Tsunodejiro did sports comics before he got really big with the occult stuff. I figured it was there. I'm kind of collecting Tsunodejiro now, so might as well. And so I got it. Too hard to pass up. And then, let's see, what do we got? Yokoyama Mitsuteru. This is his other ninja comic. He had Iga no Kagemaru, and then this is Kamen no Ninja. Masked Ninja Aka Kage. Right? So, that's cool. Eventually, I'm going to have to do a deep dive into ninja comics. And I have the perfect guy that I want to bring on the show to talk about ninja. So, yeah. Look forward to that. All right. Coming up next. Look at this. Look at this. Mochizuki Mikiya. I love this guy. So, I talked about him before. I got his Kennedy Knights. I got his JA series. A bunch of those. And now, Saizen Sen. At the Front Lines. Number 2. Great condition. I was looking at the cover, and I'm not a military comics guy, but this is obviously a Japanese character, and he's wearing a U.S. Army uniform, and I was like, what? And I flipped it open, and I looked through, and this is the story of the most decorated regiment. This is true. Most decorated regiment in U.S. Army history, which is the regiment made up of Japanese Americans who they fought during World War II, mostly in European theater, of course, because, could have been awkward. And I know that these stories here, they're fictional, but it's based on an actual regiment. So, regiment, what is it? The 442nd Infantry Regiment. So pretty cool stuff. The main character's name is Miki Kumamoto, and you know, I'm from Kumamoto, and so anything that links even slightly to my adopted hometown, I'm there for it. So wow, love this guy's stuff. Last year he had his 80th birthday. I think, so that makes him a year or two younger than Matsumoto Reiji. All right, now we're getting into Hibari hit comics. Hebi ni natta onna no urami. So it's not just the horror of the girl who turned into a snake. It's the hatred of the girl who turned into a snake. Her hatred. And we got snake tongues. And kind of a goth-looking makeup job, but that was Saga Miyuki style. This is Hibari Shobo, of course. They're the ones behind the Kaidan and all Kaidan kashihon horror anthologies. Saga Miyuki was part of that. Had a lot of these comics made for the rental comic market, and very popular creator. All right, the last in this size. This is a strange one, okay? It's Hinomaru Bunko, and Hinomaru Bunko's label, Hinomaru Comics. Hinomaru is, of course, the Japanese sun that you see on the Japanese flag. Does have kind of a nationalistic slant to it. They did a lot of war comics. Mizuki Shigeru did a lot of war comics for them, which he was very conflicted about. But their stuff could be a little bit different, could be a little bit outside the box. I mean, just look at this cover. This cover, I won't say crappy, but it's crappy. The idea they have of what makes good cover design. It's just poorly typeset and, just things thrown on there. And then you have this very weird psychedelic word balloon background, which, come to think of it, the psychedelic part kind of ties in to what happens in the story, but still, it's bad. This is Inu Kansuke Tante. So Inu Kansuke, that's the name of the detective, Tante. And then this is it's called Inu Kansuke Tante Noto, which is short for notebook or memo or his case files or something like that. And so there's 3 stories in this. The first story is not really a detective. It's more like a spy, espionage kind of thing going on, and drugs are involved. We're talking Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, psychotropic stuff. All right. Anyway, the other 2 stories are more noirish and more paranoid. The art isn't bad, he has a unique touch. This is by Numata Kiyoshi, and this guy, he's from Kyoto. He did a lot of kashihon, Gekiga. He did some horror stories, some Chinese history. But yeah, this is from Hinomaru's High Comics. So anyway, I'm still very glad I picked up on this because I've never seen it before. It's quite unique. The guy is he's doing his own thing. Doesn't seem to have a lot of editorial insight, but a lot of action. There's suspense in there, mystery. So actually, this is one of those things where it's the opposite. The cover sucks, but the interior is pretty good. Okay, are you tired yet? Finally, down to the smallest size, the Bunko size. And we've got all the big names. We've got Mizuki Shigeru's Kodai Izumo, Ancient Izumo from 2012. Izumo is an area of which is currently like on the border of Shimane and Totori, and during the Yayoi period. And so there's folklore, a little bit of archaeology involved in here. There's actually some articles in the back about Mizuki's archaeological explorations, his folkloric explorations, so to speak. So right in my wheelhouse, you know, folklore and ancient legends. We have Nagai Go, see? Once I dip my toe in, I keep going. So this is Nagai Go's Yami no Utage. And it's a different take on the Shuten Doji legend. Shuten Doji is a famous Oni who drank like a mofo. And so this is a different take on that legend. He does have a series called Shuten Doji. It's more of his demon and Oni work, and so had to snap it up. Glad I did, you know. The best thing about these things is, you know, you get these great afterwords. And this afterword is by Oni expert Komatsu Kazuhiko, who my folklore teacher also is very familiar with. So let's look at the next. Monkey Punch. Monkey Punch. This is, what is this? Ishuku Ippan. Okay, the one night stay, one meal. So Ishuku Ippan. And it's Monkey Punch, and this is, Monkey Punch is like, you know, he's a big Gaijinguy favorite. It's 4-panel, simple comics, very, very Sergio Aragonés. We know that he loved Mad Magazine, and he was a big fan of Mort Drucker. But this really has a Sergio Aragonés feel to it. And what's interesting about this is this also has an afterword where Monkey Punch is talking about his own style of manga, how he writes his manga, and so that's cool. Okay, this is Bayaku Kagebacho Kuzuryu. Kuzuryu, 9-headed dragon. This is also ISHIMORIshotaro. He doesn't have the no in there yet. 1974. It's Magical Ward Against Evil, Kuzuryu, which also is the main character's name, and it's also this carving that he's trying to unlock the mystery of, as well as unlock a mystery regarding his mother. It ran in Big Comic, which eventually I'll do a read-through of the very first Big Comic issue. We're going to do that down the road here. It includes an afterword by Ishimori, originally Onodera, and eventually Ishinomori, about Gekiga, and it has commentary by recently passed away Saito Takao. So, yeah, that's, you know, Bunko are great for having that extra little bit. Okay, another Ishimori. I didn't even know about this one. I'd never seen this title before. It's Amazon Baby. Amazon Baby. Look at the cover. Jungle Girl comics. I'm all about Jungle Girl comics. I think they're fascinating. But this particular one has a fully grown jungle woman with the mentality of a child, and that's why her name is Baby. Yeah, kind of problematic, but you know, you don't run across that many jungle comics in Japan that aren't direct Tarzan copies. So yeah, I picked it up. Speaking of inappropriate, yes, we have our requisite Azuma Hideo Yakekuso Tenshi 1 and 2. So Tenshi is angel, Yakekuso is like when you're like, that's when you say F it, and sometimes you just have to say F it. And that's basically, this is F it angel. And she does go around trying to F everything. including underage boys, which is not cool. Luckily, she's not successful, but still, yeah, weird. But he also passed away. I thought, I don't see much of his work. It's kind of disappearing off the shelves, so I got it. There are some funny bits in here, but he does go to where the weird is. All right, here's 3 titles from Takahashi Yosuke. He's another kind of creator of the weird. We've got, what do we have? Okay, When Milk Turns the Screw, about a girl named Milk, and she has to turn this screw, and if she forgets, then all hell breaks loose. And it's got a bunch of stories in here. It's mostly from the comic magazine Manga Shonen, so this is like 1978. And the art at the beginning, and I don't know if this was newly commissioned for the series, it has kind of a Ghibli feel to it. Not giblets, Ghibli. Okay. And what else we got? We got Professor Liar's Afternoon, Raya Kyoju no Gogo. And this has more chapters with the same character, this Professor Liar guy. And it also has, you know, a fantastic but a bit of the weird going on there. You know, it's got his great heavy line, very dynamic line that goes thin and thick very quickly, which, you know, it's very unique. You'd recognize his work right away. Another Takahashi Rumiko, some of her characters have a similarity to his in the basic face proportion design, but that's about it. Okay, Crazy Clown, Crazy Piero. Okay, this is from 1981. This is gory as hell, and it's about this crazy murderous clown. Luckily, he's murdering Nazis. Well, they're not. They're like Nazi stand-ins. They've got the fascism and the nifty uniforms. So crazy clown. But like people getting cut in half and like put on spikes, and sometimes it's the Nazi guys that are doing it, and sometimes it's the crazy clown doing it to the Nazis. So, all right, finally at the end. Here we go. This is a 2-volume set of TV and anime. This is from 1978 by what's his name? Sugiyama Taku. And he was an anime director that worked on the Wonder 3, and he worked on the Hinotori 2772. These were published in 1978 and has basically like a list of anime, of all the anime. I don't know if it actually has all, but it has a quite comprehensive list of anime that had been on TV up until that point and at that point. So it's got Gatchaman, it's got, you know, Yamato, it's got a lot of great stuff in here. I hope to find, even flipping through it, I already found some series which I had never heard of before, and that's exactly what I wanted out of this series. So glad I picked it up. Overall, a whole bunch of amazing stuff. I've got space still on my shelf, so it's not going to be a problem. But thank you so much for joining me. I'm sure this was quite a long video, a lot of stuff we went through, and I always appreciate your support. Thanks for liking and sharing and commenting especially, and I hope to see you next time. So see you in the funny papers. Bye-bye.